Hello, hello, my gorgeous ones. Thank you so much for being so patient with me. We have, well, we always have stuff going on with the planets, right? But the bigger picture or the most prominent things are the things that I kind of want to bring when I do tarot readings, right? So we have Jupiter transiting from Libra to Scorpio on October 10th. So I want to talk about that first. So welcome, welcome all you new ones. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Cindy. I am the modern day spiritual advisor. I use multiple modalities to help you on your path, including tarot, astrology, hypnotherapy, and mediumship. So I want to let everybody know, or I want to thank everybody for being patient, because when I'm doing tarot, or especially with this channel, I'm expanding it just from tarot. I'm a teacher, I'm a spiritual advisor, that's what I do. So I'm always sort of teaching you guys. So I had to like really meditate, get centered, and try to help, or try to see how I was going to teach this, right? So, because it's important, there's such a big group that's watching, it's important for, everyone to sort of get the concept, right? And when I do that, I know the way a Virgo is hearing me is not the same way a Scorpio is hearing me, or a Cancer is hearing me, or an Aquarius is hearing me. So even though you may get frustrated at the way that I say things, just understand that it's not just you watching. There are many, many, many watching. It's important for everyone to get the concept. That's the way that I teach. So, back to this Jupiter transiting into Scorpio. So Jupiter transits for a year. And so October 10th, it's going to be transiting from Libra, because it was in Libra, and now it's going to move into Scorpio. So obviously when it moves into a different house and a different sign, then it's going to be doing different things, right? And so it's got to like play nice with the house, right? So it's almost like it's coming to live in a house, and the house has a, I don't know, ruler, a landlord, right? So when Scorpio, or when Jupiter moves into Scorpio, it's going to be doing something very different than when it did to Libra. Or it could be doing the same thing, just in a different way, right? So let's talk about Jupiter itself first. Okay, so Jupiter is it's a huge planet. So, and again, it transits for a year. And so Jupiter is the manifester. Jupiter in Vedic astrology, they call him the guru, right? Jupiter is the teacher. Jupiter wants to expand things. And Jupiter, pardon me, got something stuck in my throat. But Jupiter wants to like give gifts and expand your knowledge and expand your thinking and expand your way of life, right? But it wants to do it for responsible owners, okay? So, because it's a teacher. So it's like, yes, you can have your gifts, but you have to be responsible in them. It's almost like, when you get, because we've talked about lottery winners, when you get lottery winners, the person that's responsible and able to handle that is much different than the one that isn't. They're going to end up losing it, right? So Jupiter sees this and he wants to give it to everybody. Jupiter loves giving gifts, so he wants to give it to everybody, right? But he's saying, as a guru, there are responsibilities that you have to be able to take and have to be able to accept these gifts. So that's sort of Jupiter. Pardon me, I don't know what's wrong with my throat. It must be a lot of you guys and myself. So Jupiter is like law and virtue and wealth. But Jupiter, being the guru or being the teacher, looks at like a lot of levels of a situation, or a lot of levels of what's going on when he's going to give you those gifts, right? So he's looking at everything and he's teaching you about those things, right? So Jupiter being in whatever house it's going to be in for you is going to be teaching you and expanding. And so it, like in the 10th house, where it's like your fame and your persona and all that, oh my gosh, it can make you grow so much out into the world and become this like person that everybody goes to and knows, right? But Before Jupiter got there, it was like, did you work hard for that? Were you doing your 16 hours a day or 14 hours a day studying and going and doing? That's what Jupiter's saying. Jupiter's like, I want to give you these gifts. Are you ready for them? Are you ready for them? And if you're not, he'll teach you. He'll teach you. And he's a what they call a malefic planet, right? So malefic is like a beautiful soft planet, right? So when Jupiter's looking at things, it's looking in the sign or the house, wherever he's at. He's looking at the positive and the negative. He's looking at both, right? But Jupiter is a masculine, what they call a masculine planet. So meaning when it's a masculine planet, it wants to manifest externally. So it wants to give you like the material. So it manifests externally. It's not like this inner pull or inner thing. It's like whatever you're learning, it can manifest into the physical. Does that make sense? So it'll want to manifest on an external level, right? So there are going to be some times during this year in your chart where you're going to have like, you know, the Jupiter and then the sun and so all those other planets sort of help and talk to each other, and that's what's going to be going on in your planets. I mean, in your houses. So when I'm doing this tarot reading, I'm doing it from your ascending, but you can look at your moon and you can look at your sun and you can look at your Venus. I mean, you can look at those things, but when you look at them from their point of view. Okay. So, I know a lot of people were like, no, it's not in this house, it's in that house. Well, it's my astrology, it's my reading. So I'm going to say it the way that I see it, and I'm going to say it the way that I'm being told to say it. So it may not be what your chart says, but it's what my chart said, right? So I just wanted to make that clear. Let me make sure that I'm looking at my notes to make sure that I don't forget everything about Jupiter. So I think the most important thing to understand, because it's ruled by Mars, I'm sorry, it's not ruled by Mars. I was looking at Scorpio. I think the most important thing that you need to understand is everybody gets this misconception that Jupiter's just going to give gifts and everything's going to be okay. And it's not. It depends on how it works in your house. It depends on what planets are there in your house, what house it's at, and how it's talking to the other planets, and how it's actually talking to the sign in your house, right? But it's going to be in Scorpio. So let's talk a little bit about Scorpio. So Scorpio is ruled by Mars, right? And we all know Mars. Mars is that ambition. It's that thing, that drive that makes you work hard, right? But also Mars can like take away harshly too. So Mars being, Scorpio being ruled by Mars, you're going to see that it's going to want to like, Jupiter is going to have to express itself in a Martian way, right? That makes sense? So let me say it this way. Let's just say, so Jupiter's been in a home in Libra for a year, and now he's got to move to a different home, right? So he's moving into Scorpio. And Scorpio, we'll just say the landlord is Mars, right? So Jupiter has to like sort of go by the rules of Mars and Scorpio, right? So if you think about it that way, that may help you. And the reason I'm explaining these characteristics, because I think it's really important for you to understand the planet and the sign and then your house, so that you know how to ultimately express these things, how to manifest these things in your life. Because you can, this is what the astrologers call octaves. Like you can express it in a negative, excuse me, what you call a negative way, or you can go to the finer vibration and express it in a positive way. But that's kind of up to you. That's where we have free will. That's where we have choices, right? And that's kind of up to you. But my job is to help you, to give you the knowledge and the understanding so that you know what you're working with, right? When you have the tools, you know what you're working with, right? So let's talk about Scorpio. Scorpio is sometimes a misunderstood sign. I know I've had the pleasure of having beautiful Scorpios around me, really beautiful Scorpios around me. It's not that I haven't seen beautiful Scorpios around me, but I've had the pleasure of having all the octaves, or what you call all the octaves around me. So I know how beautiful they can be, but I know how sometimes they're misunderstood because, you know, when you think about Scorpio, oftentimes they're just thought of as the ones that are keeping secrets, the ones that, you know, can manipulate, and the ones that are very sexual. Well, yeah, those are, you know, that Scorpio itself has those things in it, has those characteristics in it, but it doesn't necessarily, that's not all of what Scorpio is. Scorpio is just this beautiful, it has so many other beautiful things. So let's talk about what that is. So let's talk about some characteristics. So some characteristics about Scorpio is being secretive and aggressive, the protector, right? So if you're close to any Scorpio, you know that they will protect you if they love you and they understand you. They will protect you till their death. Like, that's how Scorpios are. So, but they're also intuitive, very empathic, empathetic as well, right? And what they do is they love the taboo. They love what's out of the ordinary. So oftentimes the reason that they're secretive, they're not meaning to be secretive in a malicious way. They're being secretive because they're thinking, and this is not all Scorpios, but they're being secretive because they're thinking what I see in this situation is probably not what society sees, and people probably won't understand that I'm okay with this, so I would just rather not say anything. That's a Scorpio. They're not trying to be malicious. They're not trying to be secretive. They're always thinking of you and thinking, well, you know, they don't really need to know that part because it's just my thought and my perception anyway. That's a Scorpio, right? So oftentimes there's that miscommunication in relationships where Scorpios being secretive, but it's because they think that it might be more harmful to you if you know what they're really thinking is okay, right? So take that into consideration when you're dealing with a Scorpio. Scorpio is about transformation. And if you've followed me forever, this is one thing I've always said about Scorpios. I always see them as the rising phoenix. I see them as going in, figuring it out, that inner deep, deep, deep stuff, because that's what they want to do. They want the knowledge of that deep, deep, deep occult, deep hidden, deep, deep stuff, right? And then they transform themselves. So let me say this, if you have a Scorpio in your life, they definitely, as much as they will push your boundaries, as much as, they won't push your boundaries, as much as your boundaries will be pushed, as much as your knowledge of the hidden will be pushed, you will ultimately be transformed and have the change into what you're supposed to be. That's Scorpio. Scorpio transforms into what you're supposed to be. Okay? So, having Jupiter go into Scorpio, that is what we're going to be dealing with over this next year, right? And depending on, this is where, you know, you want your chart read by an astrologer. Depending on the degree and which house will depend on that type of transformation, will depend on that type of knowledge, will depend on that type of thing that's going on. But again, because Jupiter's in there, it's going to expand it. It's going to make it bigger, right? So going back to Jupiter going into Scorpio. So in this time with Jupiter going into Scorpio and having to play by Mars and Scorpio's rules, right? Because now they're roommates. Now he's got to, or that's his landlord. So now Jupiter's got to be like, Jupiter's like, well, I got to go by these rules. So Jupiter is going to be in your house, wherever he's at, is going to be digging deep for knowledge, digging deep for the teachings. That's what Jupiter is going to have to do, right? Because Jupiter and Mars are friends. So Jupiter plays well with Mars. He just has a different way of doing things. But he understands that once he's in the Scorpio house, he's got to play by the rules, right? Like I said, Jupiter loves to give gifts. He loves to do that. But Jupiter is also about transformation and expansion. So that's why they play well together. They just do it in a different way, right? It reminds me of when a Gemini and Aquarius get together. Because you guys know my son is Gemini ascending Aquarius. So I have, in my lifetime, many, many Aquarian relationships. And so we have the same understanding about things, but we will be expressing it and explaining it in a different way, right? So it reminds me of kind of that. And I'm sure there are other signs, but I'm just bringing that to me. So, the one thing about Scorpio is that it is intense. So Scorpio is very intense. So whatever you're going to be going through, whatever this house is going to be lit up for you, wherever you're trying to express yourself, is, remember, because I'd said before, the planets are about expressing. It's the way that you're wanting to express it. And where it falls in the houses are the area of life you're wanting to express it. But the planets and the sign are about the way that you're wanting to express in your life, okay? So you're going to have some intense, deep, hidden things come about in your love life, in your life itself, in your love for family, in your businesses, in your money, in all of that. That's what Scorpio is about. It's about transforming, and so is Jupiter. So you're going to have some big transformation, which makes sense as to why I kept feeling transformation for everybody, because there's big transformation going on this year. Now, of course, this is only part of where the planets are, but this is a big part. And that's why I've decided to do Jupiter and Scorpio. So I'm going to go over each house. I'm going to go over each sign and tell you where it's at in your house, and then do the month of October reading. Okay? So I hope I explained everything correctly. Oh, I did want to mention too, this is very important because I know some of you, again, I'm speaking to a whole but many different people. And some of you will associate better with a chakra, right? So Scorpio is associated with the solar plexus. It's associated with your third chakra, right? So if you don't know what the third chakra is, or the solar plexus chakra, you can think of the fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh as those that come from above, and then so in the spiritual almost realm, or in the energetic realm, right? And then the two down below are the ones that come from earth, or this earth, right? So if you take what you know from above and what you have from below, and you bring them together, you manifest through your third chakra. So you're all about manifestation in this chakra. Okay, so I think that's very important for a lot of people to understand. Now, depending on what house it is in and where your planets are aligned is going to depend on how you're going to manifest these things. What are you going to manifest, right? What area of life you're going to manifest and how. So I will see you in a minute. Okay, one more thing before I begin, I forgot to say. I wanted to talk about the ascending, the sun, and the moon very quickly so that you guys understand when you're watching. If you're watching from the ascending, you take this perspective, or the sun, you take this perspective, or the moon, you take that perspective, right? So the ascending, you can think of that as like your identity here in this world, right? Your identity. But when it comes from your ascending, when you're looking at it from your ascending, you're talking about your past lives, or if you don't believe in past lives, the stuff that's fated to happen, the stuff that's supposed to happen, the stuff that comes from nowhere, the stuff that, or the things, or the situation, or the people, like those relationships and whatever, fame, whatever that is. When it comes from, when you're looking at, that's why I like to work from the ascending, because this is stuff that was supposed to be yours anyway. This is stuff that's coming in for you anyway, because this is what you wanted to experience, because this is how you wanted to manifest, because, for all different reasons. So, or because, in your past life you did so much work and now you brought some of the gifts for this life, right? That's what you're looking at when you're looking at the ascendant, right? And that's why, sometimes what you guys call miracle just happened. Well, it happened because it was coming from your ascending. It was what you wanted to experience it in that way, right? So that's why I like to look at the ascending. And when you're looking at your ascending, that's the way that you want to see it. Okay? I mean, or not, you can do whatever. I'm just saying this is my understanding. So your sun, when you're looking at your sun sign, or you're watching from your sun sign, these are the directions that you can take. This is the intention that you put on your goals and your relationships and your way of life and the things that are happening to you. This is where you can make your choices, right? So this is more of the conscious mind, right? So you can think of it as like the ascending coming from your subconscious and the sun coming from your conscious, although they all have both. But this is where you can make your decisions and put your intention and put your focus, and this is where, you know, some people will say this is where your free will is, right? So when you're looking at it from your sun, it doesn't negate the fact that, you know, I mean, your ascending isn't more important than your sun. It all kind of works together. It's just that the ascending is where you get like those things that you're like, wow, that just happened, or oh my gosh, that just happened, right? Because that stuff like you probably didn't even see coming because it was fated for you. It was supposed to come in for you. It was like, that's like the miracles. That's from your higher self. That's from spirit. That's from you, from your whole being, right? And then the sun is more of that conscious. Now the moon is the way, when you're looking at it from your moon, this is where you get the information or get the relationship or get the things around you, and you're looking at them and you're processing them. And we process them many different ways, but we do it and we connect with it emotionally, right? So that's why they call the moon the emotional part. So this is where you're processing the information, and that's what you're doing when you're looking at the moon. When you're looking at it from the moon side, you're gathering the information and you're processing it emotionally. You're trying to connect to it. What do I want to do with it? What do I want to do with that situation? What do I want to do with that person? What do I want to do with my life? What is going on, right? That's the moon. So I just thought that was very important for everybody to understand. And please, even though I'm saying look at it from the ascendant, don't don't box yourself in. This is why I don't just do astrology, because astrology, just sometimes some people are so analytical and so to the T that you're missing out on this whole bigger picture. So absolutely look at it from your moon, because you might see a different thing. Look at it from your sun, because you might see a different thing. Look at it from your ascending. Look at it from all sides. That way you gather all the information, because they're all important. Okay? So I hope that helps. I'll see you in a minute. All right, my beautiful Virgos, I can see it already. You're going to have an interesting year. For a lot of you, it's a long time coming. You've done so much work. So, but remember, wow, yeah, like I can see what's really going to go on in here. But remember, this is going to unfold as the year progresses. This is just October that I'm doing. So for my beautiful Virgos, ascending, but you can look at it through your moon and your sun. This is going to fall, Jupiter's going into your third house. Okay, so we've got Jupiter and Scorpio in your third house. So what is this third house about? It's your expression. It's the way that you communicate to the world. And we don't just communicate to people. We communicate to things, situations. Like, that's who we are. That's all of us, right? So I can feel in this house that by the end of this, that you're really going to understand about letting go and what the bigger picture is for some of you. And I'm really, really proud of you. It takes a lot to get through this house. So the third house is, it's about communication and expressing yourself, but it can be about your siblings. It's like the everyday learning that you do, which you guys are Virgos, you're very quick at it. Like, you can learn your everyday stuff quick because you're really good at detailed stuff, right? But the problem is that for Virgos, if they don't know how to balance, and trust me, my South Node is in Virgo. So if you know anything about astrology, your South Node is the thing that you've already mastered. So with it being, it's a thing that you revert to because it feels more comfortable, because maybe you had so many lives that way, right? So you already kind of know that. So with Virgo, you have to learn to balance and understand that you can't control everything. I mean, you can in your higher self, and like not in this world, but when you're co-creating and when you're with other people in other situations, you know, you're co-creating. So you have to, that's part of your learning, is that you cannot control everything. So let's just say you choose not to control everything. All right. So the third house is about the lower mind. And it's about the things that you sort of get really focused and frustrated at, because you're like, no, I got to do it this way and this way and this way and this way and this way, and it can't be done any other way. I mean, like, I understand having that Virgo side. You're like, I just rather do it myself instead of asking anybody to do it because they're not going to do it right anyway. I mean, like, that can be a Virgo, right? And so when Jupiter comes in this house, it's expanding. It wants to grow in this house. It wants to give you manifestations in this house. It wants to learn. Remember, it's the guru or the teacher, so it wants you to learn. And Scorpio wants you to go deep and learn. It's like, no, we're not going to do the surface stuff. We're going to go deep and intense to learn this stuff, right? We're going to go deep because you're going to understand, like I said, by the end of this, how to relax. Because sometimes you just need to relax, Virgo. You just need to relax, right? So, it can be about your siblings, your lower learning, the lower mind, what they call, or your conscious mind. And so, it can also be about short trips and everyday living, right? So, when Jupiter goes in this house, you could be learning, like, what's really precious in your life. Like, how do I say this? Because sometimes you, like, want to get to a goal, and this is not just Virgo, this is everybody. Like, you know those people that are, like, really ambitious, and there's nothing wrong with being really ambitious, and they're like, I'm going to be at the top of my whatever, and then they get there, and they're like, well, I'm here, and I'm realizing that's not what it's all about. I'm glad I'm here, but what it was all about was the journey, right? What it was all about was those things that made me and helped me, and those experiences I had to get to the top or to get to the best, right? That's this third house. When you're growing in it, you understand that, right? So you could be learning new things that are precious in your life, but this house is where it's going to show you that. It's going to help you understand what is precious in my life, right? It has to do with technologies too. So you have ambition and you have competition in this house. So that could be an even better strength for you in this house as well. Also, businesses in this house, because that's like your everyday thing. If you have your own business, if you have your own business, or if you have employees and you have your own business, you'll be expanding in this house with those things. So now in this house, with Jupiter going into this house, it's a good time to expand your business throughout the year, not just all at once, but throughout the year. But also in short trips, and I see that you do take a trip here. And what you'll find is when you're doing these things, you're going to get more opportunity, because Jupiter is going to, it wants to expand. It's going to give you gifts. So if you put the energy in and you take a little bit of those chances to expand, it's going to help you. Okay. But remember, you can't do it on the surface stuff. You have to go deep. You have to go deep. And Virgos can go deep, but Scorpio is intense deep. So as you're doing that, as you're doing these things, think about that. So your relationships can be in here, because I'm talking about your romantic relationships. If your romantic relationship is like in your everyday life, like let's just say that you've been dating. So that becomes like your everyday life area. And so your romantic relationships could come through here. And again, it's going to be about strengthening and courage and expanding yourself in this. Okay. So with that being said, this is your October 2017 love, in the love area. And to me, love itself is the energy or force that moves through all vibrations. So it kind of depends on your cycle of life, or the decisions and the choices that you make as to what I'm talking about. It could be more than one thing. Where has your focus been, right? So in this house, or in October, I see that you're already like, I'm not making a decision because I don't have enough information, because I don't know what to do, right? That's this position right now. And this is a general reading, so it's not for everyone. Like, the whole story is not for everyone. Everyone will get a message if your heart is open and listening. But the Two of Swords tells me that you feel like you're ready to make a move. You just feel like you don't have enough information. And again, it's because Some of you, not all of you, but it's because you're being too detail oriented in this. Because when this card comes up, Spirit is saying you actually do have enough information to make a choice. So just make a choice. It's kind of up to you. Now, what's crossing you, this is their advice, is the Six of Wands. So this is all about, their advice is that you are being watched. You are being looked at. People are recognizing you. Even in the love area, you're being seen. You're getting accolades for the things that you're doing, or they're about to come through. If they haven't come through, this is on top of you. This is on the Spirit's advice is on top. So this means that those things that you've been working so hard for, if it's in your love, romance, family, business, yourself, whatever this is, you're getting accolades. People are watching you, and you're going to get some rewards for this. So for others of you, if you're talking about romance, I do see that, well, I kind of see that some of you may have two people and you don't know which one to choose, and then one's watching you. But for others, I feel like you may have a person and another person is looking at you, because I do feel like two here. And that's not for everybody, but that's for some. For others, if you just have one person, he or she is really looking at you. They're really noticing you and really, and they like what they see. So they may not approach yet. They might, but they may not have approached yet. Okay, that's for some of you. Now, where you came from was the Sun. So what's going on, Virgo? Because the Sun is all about expansion, and when they give me the Sun, that means that you're like, they have helped you like move everything into place for you to be manifesting and getting the life that you want, right? And maybe it was in the love area too. So you were having a good time, things were working out, things were falling into place, and for some reason, I don't know why you've moved from here to here, because maybe things didn't go exactly like you wanted to. Maybe you thought you were in control of everything, and then you found out that no, you're not in control of everything, because we're co-creating and someone else has some of the control as well, right? So maybe in your businesses, for some of you, everything was going well, and then you were overthinking it and haven't made a decision about something. Whatever this is holding you back from getting to this again. But I don't feel like it's for long. I just feel like there's some decision that you have to make. Now, in your fourth position, this is at the beginning of, so the first 2 weeks in October, you have the Ace of Swords. So I do feel like you have new beginnings. Again, I feel like it's this that's holding you. So you have new beginnings. For some of you, it's a new loved one. For others of you, it's a new business partner. For others of you, it's the opportunity that you've been waiting for. Because in this house, in this third house, if you've been working through it, when Jupiter comes, it's going to give you opportunity. But what are you going to do with that, right? So I feel like you have new beginnings. I feel like, see, the Ace to me of Swords especially, it means that it comes from like say you thought you were going to, say you had a goal, right? And you said, okay, in 2 months, I'm going to have it here, right? And then 2 months comes along and it's not there. And then all of a sudden, 2 months and 3 days, and you've already gotten all upset because it hadn't come in 2 months. And 2 months and 3 days, all of a sudden something just, bam, pops in. The opportunity comes, the person comes in, the situation comes in, right? That's kind of what the Ace to me is. And that's in the first 2 weeks. But again, I feel like it has to do with this. So if you don't make a decision, this could miss you, okay? Because these are energies. These are general energies that I am seeing. This is not, I know it feels like a personal reading, but I'm seeing, well, I couldn't even tell you, thousands of energies, thousands of people's situation. So just to understand that if the opportunity comes or a start comes, if you're not making a decision about it, then it could just fall to the wayside, right? So I don't know why they're being like, it's that important for you guys to like make this decision, but it's important. So the best way to do this would they're having me remind you is to get centered, ask the question, and trust the answer. Okay? So from your in your fifth position from your higher self, I always ask your higher self what is the one message they want to bring through to help you move forward in love. You have the Eight of Wands. That's all about a trip. And because your third house is coming, because Jupiter's going into your third house, if this is a trip that you've been working on, if this is something that you've been wanting, if this is something that you're even seeing, because y'all are, you know you're intuitive, you know some of you are psychic. Well, all of you are psychic, you just have to develop it. So if this is something that you've been seeing or dreaming about, or yeah, some of you have actually been dreaming about it, or sort of envisioning it, it's going to come through. That's what they want you to know. Now, for others of you, if it's your work or your businesses or your contracts or your opportunities, they want you to know that that's coming through and it's going to be a fast movement. So don't get stuck in this. I don't know why this is so important, but this is really, really important for you guys. So don't let it go. Like, understand that this is coming through, that the fast movement is coming through, that your goals are coming through. And as you're working in this house, in this third house with Jupiter, as long as you're doing the work and not, listen, I know Virgos are not afraid of hard work. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is your third house is about communication and about releasing control. That's what this third house is about for you guys. So working extra hard at 16 hours a day is not releasing control. That's not what that means. You have to relax. You have to really understand what's precious in your life. And everybody's life is different. So what's precious for me is maybe different than what's precious for you. You have to find that, okay? That's what your work is. And then releasing and letting go and understanding, right? That's what's going on in this house. And that's what they want you to know. These things are going to come through. You just have to like relax, okay? Because you've done the work. Like Virgos, they do the work. The work is not hard for Virgos. So in your sixth position, this is towards the end of the month, the second half of the month, you have the Nine of Wands. So I feel like by the end of October, you will feel more like this. You'll feel like, okay, I've done a lot of work now. I'm just resting. I know I have to go forward and do some other things. But guess what? I've got all these things that I've already done. And so now I just need to relax and let those things come forth, right? I do have this one thing that I'm holding that I know I got to keep taking action with so that my whole world doesn't fall apart. Like I do have that. But I understand that right now I just need to relax and I need to hold my ground and I've already said what I needed to say. Like by this time I feel like I've already done all I needed to do. I've already said all I needed to do. And now I can just relax for a little bit. That's how I feel like at the end of the month for you guys. Okay. Now, if somebody comes in and this is a new person, comes and gives you this new beginning, I feel like you will relax. I feel like you'll be like, wow, okay, now I can relax. That's what I feel like. Now, in your seventh position, this is your fear. So the fear is obviously, because you have the Eight of Coins or the Eight of Pentacles, how much more do I have to learn? That's the fear. Is it always going to be like I have to work hard, I have to work hard, I have to work hard on relationships, on finding the one, on getting my life straight, on being stable? Like, how much more do I have to do? Or will I always have to do that? And that's a fear for some of you. And so again, this is why this like relaxing and letting go of some control is going to help you, because this is just a fear. This is just a fear of having to work so hard for so long and wanting to be at a place, that reminded me, wanting to be at a place where you can relax. And remember what I said earlier, because they're saying, say it again. So what I said earlier, sometimes when people say, I want to be at this, I want to be the best, I want to be at the peak, I want to be the expert. And then they get to that and it's such a high or like the best position that when they get there, they're like, this was great, but I'm understanding that it was about the journey, right? So this is just a fear. Remember, a fear is there to remind you of what you want and what you don't want. So focus on what you want. You know you don't want to work forever. You know you don't want to work so hard forever to try to get something, right? You know that. So focus on what you want. Focus on the fact that you want it easier. Focus on the fact that you want to learn to relax. Focus on the fact that things come easy to you. Focus on that, okay? For others of you, I do feel like you might be going into like some training or some skills, and this has to do with your third house too. And the fear is, will I actually be able to accomplish it? That's a fear for some of you, but you're a Virgo. You can do anything, right? All right, so in your eighth position, this is the way a loved one will be viewing you or dealing with you. And some of you, this is the universe or God, oneness, spirit. So you have the devil card. So the devil card is all about addiction and like addiction in the, like, I'm really enjoying myself. I'm really like going to let go, and I'm really like going to do that. And I'm really like not going to overthink things. And I'm really going to really indulge in myself and the world, right? And so I feel like for some of you, this person comes in and sees that and deals with you in that manner. They deal with you in the fact that they're sort of, they've got this like lust for life and lust for you, some of you. And so it's a good time. It's a time to laugh and relax and play and enjoy life, enjoy the physical stuff, right? This is a sexual card too. So for some of you, that means that. But for others of you, if this is the universe, again, it's about you relaxing and releasing some control and enjoying what you have now. You don't have to stay in it, but enjoy it, connect with it, enjoy the things that are around you that you've worked so hard for. And that's kind of what will be going on in the month of October for you. So in your ninth position, this is your hopes and dreams. But for some of you, well, not for some of you, for me, this is what I call the outer realm of the energy that you're bringing in. And you have the 10 of Wands. So there is something, it could be this, could be your work, could be your romance, could be something. It's different things for different people. But this is something that you have to move on from. This is something that you have to move forward. And some of you, because when the 10 of Wands comes up, it means this heavy action that I have to take. And I have to do it with a heavy heart, but I have to do it, right? And that's what I feel like you know that's coming with this one thing that you're not wanting to look at, some of you. But because you know what it's going to take to have that situation resolved. And so you're not doing it. But it's part of your path. So it looks like you do move forward with a heavy heart in releasing someone or releasing something. For others of you, I feel like all this hard work that you've done, if we're talking about your businesses or your business partners or your money, like all kinds of different things that I'm seeing. I feel like it's through this hard work. It's through all this action and this passion and this love for what you do that you are moving forward, that it's going to break through. And I feel like, I mean, look how many wands you have here. So you're about to like break through with something. If we're not talking about romance, if we're just talking about other aspects of your life, I'm seeing like all this action, fiery, passionate stuff. So I can say this when I'm looking at these cards. Look at what the universe is giving you. And I mean, come on, look at what the universe is giving you. I don't know if I can do it this way. So look what the universe is giving you and look what you're giving the universe. Like, what is that? Come on, my beautiful Virgos. The universe is trying to give you everything and you're like not receiving. So what's going on? Right? I love you. I know you can do this because you can do anything. So let me put these back. So I feel like you'll break through. I do feel like you'll do it. And that's what you'll be working on in the month of October. Now, your 10th position, this is the overall outcome of what you'll be working through in the month of October. I see this two different ways for you guys. For some of you, I do see someone coming back. So there's reconciliation. Make sure that it's you that I'm talking about and not somebody else, because some of you will say, nope, that's mine. And then they won't come through and then you'll be upset, right? You'll know if this person's going to come back. For others of you, I feel like, because you know how you'll know? Because you've worked on it. Not the controlling part, but you've actually worked on yourself and trying to be, you and that person trying to be like a better match for each other. Okay. And so I feel like that person may come around. Yeah. Or I kind of feel like some of you might bump into them, actually. That's what I'm feeling. Okay. So that will happen in the month of October. You'll be dealing with that, some of you. For others of you, they want you to see that even through all the hard work, come see the light, like see the beauty of life. See what you've made already. See what you've accomplished. Look at the situations and the people and the relationships around you and see how much love is being poured to you, poured over you. Look how you're being guided. So the star to me is the star of hope. So I feel like once you get through all of this stuff, no, not once, as you get through this, making these decisions, these things coming through, being a little bit more relaxed, maybe even taking this short day trip, like I feel like as those things happen, you'll see that you can appreciate your life better, that you can see the beauty of life again. And I feel like that's what you'll be working through in the month of October. All right, my gorgeous ones, I'm sending you so much love and light. Have a wonderful October. I love you, love you, love you. Bye.